Why only humans are safe from alien assassins. The best HFY stories. For eons, the galaxy had been home to countless advanced civilizations, beings of unimaginable intelligence, each species with their own strengths, technologies, and ways of life. But all the alien races shared one undeniable truth: when it came to facing a threat, they were all vulnerable in some way, all except one: humans. The concept of human resilience had been widely dismissed by the broader galactic community for centuries. The aliens had seen humans as primitive, raw, and often brutish, but they had overlooked something crucial, something they had never fully understood. The first encounter, the ZRYX assassins. The ZRYX were an ancient race of assassins, feared across the galaxy for their unparalleled ability to eliminate targets, no matter how well protected or hidden. They had perfected the art of subterfuge, infiltration, and instantaneous strikes. No being, no matter how mighty or advanced, was beyond their reach. That is, until they targeted humans. It started with a single mission: eliminate a human diplomat who had unwittingly angered a rival alien empire. The ZRYX had been sent to neutralize the diplomat during peace talks. Their weapons were lethal, their skills flawless. But what they hadn't accounted for was a quirk of human psychology: paranoia. In the middle of the meeting, the diplomat, who had been trained in basic survival tactics by his government, spotted a slight movement in the shadows. It was small, almost imperceptible, but it triggered an instinctual response in him. He immediately locked down the room, triggered an alarm, and within minutes, the entire security force was on high alert. The ZRYX assassins, who relied on stealth and surprise, were caught off guard. The human diplomat's paranoia had saved him, but the real shock came when the ZRYX assassins attempted to escape. Their usual escape routes were blocked by human soldiers who had been briefed on the ZRYX's tactics. The ZRYX had never faced this kind of defense before, a society willing to risk everything to protect one individual. The ZRYX were defeated not by superior technology or brute force, but by the very unpredictability of humanity. The second encounter, the Ethrians and the unstoppable predators. The Ethrians, a race of hyper-intelligent beings, were known for their innovation and research. They prided themselves on creating the perfect predator, an organism that could be used to eliminate threats across the galaxy. This creature, known as the Zyklon, was capable of tracking and killing any target with deadly precision. The Zyklons were armed with advanced biological weaponry, and no one had ever been able to outsmart them. That is, until they met humanity's greatest defense: randomness. The Zyklon was sent to hunt a human colony that had been resisting Ethrian influence. For weeks, the creature stalked its prey, tracking its movements with clinical efficiency. The human colony had nothing compared to the Zyklon's immense power: no advanced technology, no superior weaponry. All they had was their cunning and their unpredictability. One night, a human engineer, desperate to protect his family, rigged an old mining tunnel with a haphazard series of traps, barely functional, made from spare parts. It was a crude, chaotic system, but it was exactly what the Zyklon couldn't predict. The creature walked into the traps, triggered several mechanisms, and found itself caught in a network of entangling wires, flashing lights, and unpredictable explosions. The Ethrians, in disbelief, watched as their perfect predator failed against human ingenuity. The Zyklon had been trained to analyze, predict, and eliminate, but it couldn't factor in the randomness of human behavior. The engineer's frantic scrambling had created the perfect environment for the Zyklon's defeat. The third encounter, the Conclave's most dangerous assassin. The Conclave, a coalition of the galaxy's most powerful and advanced species, had long seen humans as little more than a nuisance. They were often underestimated, dismissed as mere primitives with little real impact on galactic affairs. But that perception began to change after the assassination of a high-ranking Conclave member by a human. It wasn't just the kill that shocked them, it was the method. The assassin was not a professional killer, nor was he even trained in the traditional arts of combat. He was a former soldier, now a simple technician, living a quiet life on a backwater world. When a high-ranking Conclave official came to visit his planet, the official made a move to pressure the local government, extorting them into submission. The human, not one to tolerate oppression, took matters into his own hands. using only his knowledge of local terrain, his technical skills, and a bit of improvisation. He set a series of clever traps. He never intended to kill the official outright, he just wanted to neutralize the threat long enough to send a message. And that's exactly what happened. By the time the Conclave's security forces arrived, the official had been captured, disarmed, and embarrassed. The message was clear: humans, with their quick thinking and sheer determination, had just outwitted one of the most feared and well-equipped governments in the galaxy. The Conclave learned, albeit too late, that underestimating humans had been their greatest mistake. The hidden truth. Through these encounters and many others, the alien species of the galaxy slowly began to realize why humans were different. It wasn't their technology, nor their military prowess. It wasn't their individual strength, nor their ability to match advanced civilizations on an intellectual level. It was their unpredictability, their relentless drive to survive, adapt, and think outside the box. While other species were bound by tradition, logic, and planning, humanity thrived in chaos. They didn't follow patterns, they created new ones. They didn't rely solely on their intellect. They used their emotions, instincts, and sometimes reckless determination to outsmart even the most formidable opponents. In the end, the galaxy came to understand that the only true defense against the galaxy's deadliest assassins wasn't the best weapon, nor the most advanced technology, it was the human spirit. Humans were safe because they couldn't be predicted, and in the face of the universe's deadliest threats, that unpredictability made all the difference. The fourth encounter: the Zyral Throne Assassins and the Human Rebellion. The Zyral were an elite race of psychics, known for their ability to manipulate minds and control the thoughts of others. They were an ancient species, with vast knowledge of the universe and a deep connection to the energy of the stars. The Zyral, with their unparalleled mental abilities, had become the most feared assassins across the galaxy. They could wipe out entire civilizations without lifting a finger, by simply manipulating minds and erasing memories. To the Zyral, human minds were nothing more than an insignificant curiosity. However, in their arrogance, they overlooked one key aspect of human psychology: the deeply ingrained need for freedom. The Zyral were hired by a rival empire to eliminate the Human Rebellion leader, Marcus Evers. Evers was a notorious figure, a symbol of resistance against the galaxy's most oppressive forces. The Zyral dispatched their finest operatives, prepared to break his will and eliminate him without a trace. But they didn't count on the sheer willpower that humans could muster when it came to their ideals. When the Zyral assassins attempted to infiltrate Evers' mind, they found themselves repelled by an overwhelming force, a force they had never encountered before. Evers' mind wasn't filled with weaknesses or exploitable emotions. It was filled with an unshakable desire for freedom, a desire that no psychic power could corrupt. As the Zyral tried to penetrate deeper into his psyche, they were confronted by an oddity: a shifting, confusing labyrinth of memories, dreams, and chaotic patterns. The human mind was not static. It was not orderly. It was dynamic and unpredictable, constantly shifting in ways the Zyral had never anticipated. What they mistook for a weakness was, in fact, their greatest strength. The rebellion leader's mind was like a storm of fragmented memories, ideas, and dreams, all colliding in such a way that the Zyral couldn't anchor themselves to a single point of control. The result was catastrophic for the Zyral. One by one, their minds shattered under the strain, unable to hold the threads of control. Marcus Evers, through sheer determination, had protected himself not with strength, but with the powerful and unpredictable nature of his human spirit. The Zyral assassins, who once thought themselves invincible, were forced to retreat, their minds broken and scattered across the galaxy. They never returned, and Marcus Evers became an even more legendary figure in the annals of galactic resistance. The fifth encounter: the Garu Empire and the Unseen Threat. The Garu were a powerful empire of warlords who ruled through sheer might and domination. Their armies were vast, their weapons unmatched, and their warriors nearly invincible. The Garu had conquered countless worlds, leaving nothing but death and destruction in their wake. They were feared, even respected by the other galactic powers. However, their greatest mistake came when they targeted a small, insignificant human colony on the edge of the known galaxy. The Garu's intelligence network had reported that the colony was a low-priority target, an insignificant world that posed no threat to their empire. The inhabitants were poor farmers, scientists, and workers with no military prowess. The Garu prepared a swift assault, expecting to crush the colony in a matter of hours. But the humans weren't as defenseless as they appeared. The Garu underestimated the resilience of humanity. The people of the colony had spent generations building a secret network of underground tunnels, bunkers, and hidden defenses. The Garu's ships were destroyed by automated defense systems they had no knowledge of. The human soldiers, armed with nothing more than basic weapons and scavenged technology, launched guerrilla attacks on the invaders, using the terrain to their advantage. Their ability to adapt to the situation was uncanny, outmatching the highly trained Garu warriors in ways that the Garu had never seen before. The turning point came when the Garu commanders, too arrogant to believe that a mere human colony could outwit them, sent in a full-scale assault force. But the humans had already set a trap. An old Garu warship, scavenged and reprogrammed, was used as a decoy to lure the Garu forces into an open field, where they were ambushed by human fighters. The Garu were unprepared for a fight like this, one that required them to think on their feet, adjust strategies, and outmaneuver an enemy that fought without rules or logic. In the end, the Garu were forced to retreat, their empire dealt a humiliating defeat by a group of humans they had considered little more than insects. The final revelation: why only humans are safe. Across countless worlds, in every corner of the galaxy, humans had proven time and again that they were a force to be reckoned with. It wasn't because of their advanced technology, nor their military power. It wasn't because they had the strongest weapons or the deadliest assassins. Humans were safe from alien assassins because of something far more powerful: their refusal to be predictable. Where the alien races relied on logic, structure, and control, humanity thrived in chaos. Where the Zyral, the ZRYX, and the Garu failed, humans succeeded by relying on creativity, adaptability, and an indomitable will to survive. The galaxy came to understand that humans, though often outnumbered and outmatched, were an unpredictable element, wild, uncontrollable, and utterly relentless in their pursuit of survival. And in the face of deadly alien assassins, this was the one thing no enemy could plan for. So, why were only humans safe from alien assassins? Because, in the end, humanity was the one force that could never be predicted, never be controlled, and never be eliminated. And that, more than anything else, made humans the galaxy's greatest survivors. The sixth encounter, the enigma of the Croth Dominion. The Croth Dominion was one of the oldest and most advanced empires in the galaxy. Their technology was centuries ahead of most civilizations. Their ships capable of faster-than-light travel without the need for any conventional fuel sources. They had perfected the art of espionage, infiltration, and assassination. Their agents, known as the Whispers, were famous for their ability to silently eliminate any target, no matter how well guarded or secretive. The Croth had never considered humans a threat until they encountered the unexplainable. A highly classified human operation on a remote world had caught the attention of the Croth. Their intelligence agents were certain that something extraordinary was taking place, something that could potentially change the balance of power in the galaxy. The target was a human scientist, Dr. Evelyn Starling, known for her groundbreaking work in quantum physics. It was believed that she had discovered a method to manipulate time itself. If the Croth could capture her and force her to reveal her discoveries, they could become an unstoppable force. The Croth sent their best Whispers to infiltrate the human colony. These assassins were experts in disguises, illusion, and mind control, capable of infiltrating the highest security levels without leaving a trace. They had never failed a mission, until they encountered the chaos of human unpredictability. Dr. Starling was aware of the dangers surrounding her work. Unbeknownst to the Croth, she had been preparing for the day when someone would try to steal her research. She had developed a quantum defense system, a series of algorithms and countermeasures that responded to any outside interference with chaotic, rapidly shifting signals that confused any attempt at intrusion. When the Croth Whispers entered the colony, they found themselves plagued by random and disorienting glitches. Communication systems jammed unpredictably. Time seemed to shift unnaturally for them, causing disorientation and confusion. Dr. Starling's algorithms created multiple false realities, timelines and memories were fragmented, making it impossible for the assassins to determine what was real and what was a projection. Their advanced technology, so precise and reliable in every other scenario, was useless against the madness of human creativity and ingenuity. The Croth agents, who had relied on their ability to infiltrate and manipulate, were trapped in an endless loop of false realities, unable to locate Dr. Starling or her research. The scientists' ability to think beyond the rules of time itself was a perfect reflection of humanity's greatest strength, the ability to break free from any constraints, logical, physical, or otherwise. In the end, the Croth withdrew, baffled and broken. They could not fathom how such an advanced empire like theirs had been outwitted by a single human, whose greatest asset was her willingness to think in ways that defied reason and predictability. The seventh encounter, the Zarth hunters and the human instinct. The Zarth were a race of cold-blooded, calculating hunters, regarded as the most skilled trackers in the known universe. Their homeworld was a planet covered in dense jungles, and their culture revolved around the hunt, tracking prey across vast distances and eliminating it with perfect precision. The Zarth had a deep respect for predators and the natural order, and they prided themselves on being the apex of all hunting species. To them, the humans were simply prey, weak and frail compared to the mighty Zarth. When a high-ranking Zarth official was targeted by a rival empire, they decided to send their finest hunters to eliminate the perceived threat, a human fugitive named Jonah Reyes, a former soldier who had gone rogue and was suspected of harboring vital intelligence about a galactic conspiracy. The Zarth tracked Reyes to a dense, wild planet that had recently been colonized by humans. The hunters moved with methodical precision, using their superior senses and technology to hunt Reyes across the planet's untamed landscape. But they underestimated one thing: the raw, primal instinct of humanity. Jonah Reyes, despite being outmatched and outclassed in nearly every way, relied on instincts honed through years of survival training. The humans of the colony had developed their own set of skills to thrive in this harsh environment, skills born from generations of adapting to the wild. When the Zarth closed in on Reyes, he vanished without a trace. The humans of the colony had already known what the Zarth were capable of. They had seen them coming. What the hunters didn't expect was that the colony's inhabitants had adapted their survival strategies to the environment in ways the Zarth had never encountered. The Zarth relied on tracking through scent and movement, but human ingenuity had led to the creation of special camouflage suits made from the local flora, designed to confuse even the most trained hunter's senses. Jonah Reyes was not just a soldier, he was a survivor. With the help of his fellow humans, he set traps, created diversions, and led the Zarth on a wild chase across the planet, forcing them to make countless mistakes. Every move the Zarth made seemed to lead them deeper into confusion, and their tracking abilities, no matter how advanced, couldn't account for the chaotic tactics of human survival. In the end, the Zarth were forced to retreat. Their reputation as the ultimate hunters had been shattered by a small group of humans who had relied not on superior technology or weapons, but on an ancient, primal instinct to survive. The unsolvable puzzle, the key to human safety. By now, the galaxy's most powerful species had come to a shared understanding: humanity was a force that couldn't be tamed, predicted, or eradicated. It wasn't simply that humans were resilient or inventive, it was something deeper. Something fundamental to the human spirit. Every time an alien assassin or empire tried to eliminate humanity, they found that their greatest strengths became their greatest weaknesses. The ZRWX, the Ethrians, the Geru, the Croth, the Zarth all had failed in their attempts to outthink, outfight, or outlast humans. The reason was always the same: humans could never be completely understood. Their instincts, creativity, and willpower created a chaos that no one could predict or control. The galaxy's deadliest assassins had been foiled time and again because they were fighting against something that could not be measured, defined, or defeated. Humans were not just survivors, they were the embodiment of everything unpredictable in the universe. And in the end, that was what made them the safest species in a galaxy filled with deadly threats. As the stories of human victories spread across the stars, one truth became undeniable: humanity's greatest strength wasn't its weapons, its technology, or its armies, it was its refusal to ever be anything less than completely unpredictable. And that, ultimately, was why only humans were safe from alien assassins. The eighth encounter, the Tsrith Tribunal and the Human Heart. The Tsrith Tribunal was one of the most ancient and revered institutions in the galaxy. Their influence stretched across hundreds of worlds, and they governed with an iron fist of unwavering logic, fairness, and cold objectivity. The Tsrith had seen countless species rise and fall, and they had no tolerance for emotional instability or illogical behavior. The tribunal believed that the galaxy should be governed by pure reason, anything else was a weakness, a flaw to be eradicated. The Tsrith had always observed humanity with a sense of detached curiosity. They had long ago catalogued the emotional volatility of humans and considered it a liability. The tribunal believed that this weakness made humanity dangerous, a species prone to violent outbursts, unpredictable decisions, and irrational acts that could destabilize entire systems. Thus, when a young human girl named Kayla Decker discovered something that threatened the very foundation of the tribunal's power, they knew they had to eliminate her quickly. Kayla had inadvertently uncovered a hidden truth about the Tsrith, a conspiracy within the tribunal that could expose their centuries-old manipulation of galactic events. Her discovery was a weapon that, if unleashed, could shift the balance of power in the galaxy. But to the tribunal, Kayla wasn't a threat due to her intellect or her findings. She was a threat because she had the one thing that the Tsrith could never understand, the unpredictable, overwhelming force of human emotion. The tribunal sent their most skilled assassins, dispassionate, logical beings trained to neutralize threats without hesitation or feeling, to eliminate Kayla. They were confident that, once her research was destroyed, the problem would be solved. What the tribunal didn't account for was Kayla's own stubborn, passionate drive. Despite being outmatched and hunted by the galaxy's most powerful assassins, Kayla refused to relinquish her discovery. She was determined to expose the truth, no matter the cost. The Tsrith assassins, cold and unfeeling, found themselves disoriented and confused by Kayla's actions. Every time they attempted to predict her next move, her deep emotional attachment to the truth pushed her in ways they couldn't understand. She didn't act logically, she acted with heart. Kayla's passion became her greatest weapon. She rallied the human resistance, not through calculations or military might, but through her deep, unwavering belief in the importance of exposing the truth. As the assassins attempted to close in on her, they were met with an army of humans, all inspired by the same fire that burned within Kayla. They were willing to fight not for logic, but for what they believed in. In the end, the Tsrith assassins were forced to retreat. They couldn't fathom how their perfect system had been undone by something so illogical, so uncontrollable, as the human heart. They had failed to understand that what made humanity dangerous wasn't just its intellect or adaptability, it was its capacity for unyielding passion and emotion. The ninth encounter, the Parnith and the unlikely hero. The Parnith were a nomadic, warrior species known for their unmatched physical strength, resilience, and pride. They roamed the galaxy, challenging other species to combat, with a belief that only the strongest were worthy of survival. The Parnith held no respect for those who lacked physical prowess and considered other species weak, especially humans. The Parnith saw an opportunity when a human colony on the edge of their territory began to encroach on their sacred hunting grounds. They saw it as a perfect chance to make an example of the human species and demonstrate their superiority. A small group of Parnith warriors descended on the colony with the intent to destroy it, believing that once the humans were wiped out, they would never again dare to venture into Parnith space. However, the Parnith failed to account for one thing: humanity's relentless capacity for unity. The human colony, though small and technologically inferior, was united in a way the Parnith could never anticipate. Rather than scattering in fear or submitting to the invaders, the people of the colony banded together. They pooled their resources, their skills, and their resolve into a singular, unstoppable force. Among them was an unlikely hero, a young man named Sam O'Connor, a mechanic who had spent most of his life working in the colony's junkyards. Sam wasn't a soldier, and he had no great physical strength, but he had something that none of the Parnith had considered: an ability to inspire others, and an innate sense of innovation. With limited resources and time, Sam and the people of the colony created a series of makeshift weapons, traps, and defense systems. They used their knowledge of the terrain to their advantage, setting up ambushes and turning the Parnatha's own tactics against them. Sam's ingenuity, combined with the colony's unwavering determination, was a force that no amount of brute strength could defeat. When the Parnath warriors finally realized that they were being outsmarted by a group of humans, it was already too late. They had underestimated the power of human creativity, teamwork, and the will to protect their home. The Parnath, with all their strength and ferocity, were defeated not by physical might, but by the human spirit. The victory wasn't one of combat, it was one of sheer willpower and unity, qualities that no warrior species could ever fully comprehend. The 10th encounter, the Ixthrians and the Unknown. The Ixthrians were a mysterious, ancient race that had remained largely isolated from the rest of the galaxy. They were beings of pure energy, capable of manipulating matter and bending the laws of physics to their will. They were considered gods by many, and their power was thought to be limitless. When the Ixthrians decided to experiment with a dangerous form of energy that could potentially unravel the fabric of spacetime itself, they didn't consider the consequences. The energy was unstable, and their calculations failed. The Ixthrians realized that their experiment had destabilized the universe in ways they couldn't undo. In their desperation, they decided that humanity, the only species known to have interacted with this unstable energy, was the only one capable of solving the problem. But the Ixthrians did not communicate this need in a way the humans could understand. Instead, they sent their agents to manipulate the minds of key human leaders, attempting to coerce them into helping without revealing the full scope of the threat. The Ixthrians' manipulation was met with the unexpected. Humans, faced with the unknown and the terrifying, refused to be controlled. They demanded answers, fought against the coercion, and acted in ways the Ixthrians couldn't predict. The Ixthrians, accustomed to bending the will of other species, found themselves caught in the web of human curiosity, defiance, and determination. They could not comprehend why humans insisted on seeking the truth before offering their help. But this, in the end, was humanity's greatest strength, the refusal to blindly follow and the unrelenting desire to understand the unknown. The Ixthrians, who had manipulated and controlled countless species throughout the millennia, found themselves helpless before humanity's sheer resolve to make their own choices. In the end, it wasn't just that humans were safe from alien assassins, it was that they had become something more. Humans were no longer simply survivors of a galaxy full of threats. They were the ones who had defied the odds, toppled the greatest empires, and shattered the most powerful assassins. Because humanity wasn't just unpredictable, they were the galaxy's greatest wildcard, and that was a force that no enemy, no matter how powerful, could ever truly defeat. The 11th encounter, the Zenthi and the strength of resolve. The Zenthi were a proud race of conquerors, with a rich history of subjugating weaker species and bringing them into their fold. Their society was built on the tenets of order, discipline, and strength. They had a vast empire that spanned entire sectors of the galaxy, and they saw themselves as the natural rulers of the universe. The Zenthi were also highly skilled in the art of psychological warfare, knowing exactly how to break the spirits of their enemies. So, when the Zenthi encountered a human colony on the outer rim of their territory, they immediately saw an opportunity to expand their empire. A small, seemingly insignificant colony on a barren world was no match for their highly trained armies. The plan was simple: annihilate the colony and use it as an example to deter any future human resistance. The Zenthi began their assault in the dead of night, striking with surgical precision. They deployed their finest soldiers, whose main strength lay not in their physical prowess but in their ability to manipulate and control the minds of others. They used fear, isolation, and coercion to break their enemies before they ever reached the battlefield. But the humans on this colony, led by Captain Elena Ortiz, were not like the Zenthi's usual victims. The Zenthi had underestimated one key element of humanity: our ability to endure under pressure, even when faced with seemingly insurmountable odds. When the Zenthi launched their attack, Captain Ortiz immediately recognized the signs of psychological warfare. She knew that the Zenthi would attempt to break the spirits of her people first, to shatter their will to fight. Instead of letting the Zenthi's tactics take hold, she gathered her people and reminded them of what they were fighting for: not just their homes, but the freedom to exist as they saw fit. She ignited a fire of resistance in them, a collective resolve that even the most sophisticated manipulation could not break. The Zenthi's attacks on the colony were relentless. But the humans didn't buckle. They fought with everything they had, through confusion, fear, and despair. They turned their own fears into fuel for resistance, using the same psychological tactics the Zenthi relied on against them. What the Zenthi didn't anticipate was that humans, when pushed to their limits, became unbreakable. The Zenthi believed that they could conquer by breaking wills. But humanity had learned long ago that sometimes, the greatest strength lies in not breaking at all. Captain Ortiz and her people managed to turn the tide, not through superior weapons or technology, but through an unwavering determination to never give in. The Zenthi's psychological war tactics had failed, and their forces were driven back. The Zenthi had never encountered a species with the sheer determination to hold their ground against a psychological onslaught. The 12th encounter, the unseen enemy. The Viroliths were a mysterious and elusive race that existed in the folds of space, existing not entirely in the material universe but more like a shadow, manipulating the very fabric of space itself. Their soldiers were said to be invisible, phasing in and out of reality, capable of slipping through walls and attacking without warning. They were perfect assassins, incorporeal, deadly, and virtually impossible to defend against. When they were tasked with eliminating a human military outpost on a remote moon, they believed it would be no more difficult than any of their other operations. The humans on the outpost were barely a footnote in the grand scheme of the galaxy, an isolated, insignificant group with limited resources. The Virolith assassins anticipated a swift operation, one that would send a clear message to the galaxy about their power. However, the Virolith had underestimated one of humanity's most dangerous traits, our adaptability in the face of the unknown. The human military personnel on the outpost, though initially overwhelmed by the idea of facing an enemy they couldn't see, quickly realized that they couldn't rely on their conventional methods. Instead of fighting the Virolith on their terms, the humans adapted their tactics to what they did best, thinking outside the box. The humans on the outpost didn't have cloaking devices or invisibility shields, but they had something far more valuable: ingenuity. They rigged the outpost with sensory equipment that could detect even the slightest change in the surrounding environment. They set up motion detectors, heat sensors, and electromagnetic pulse devices, creating a complex network that could detect any shift in the fabric of space, however small. When the Virolith launched their attack, the humans knew exactly where they were, even if they couldn't see them. The Virolith assassins' movements became predictable, and the humans turned the tables, using their own environment against them. The humans forced the Virolith to reveal themselves, catching them in the very traps they had set. The once invincible assassins, who could phase in and out of reality, were now vulnerable. In the end, the Virolith were forced to withdraw, unable to cope with the humans' ability to adapt and overcome an enemy they couldn't even perceive. It wasn't technology that defeated them, it was human ingenuity and adaptability in the face of the unknown. The final truth: why only humans are safe. Across the galaxy, a new legend began to emerge. In the countless encounters with deadly alien assassins, from the psychological manipulations of the Zenthi to the phasing terror of the Virolith, one undeniable truth became clear: humanity had survived not because of its technology, not because of its might, but because it was a species that could adapt to and overcome anything. While other species were bound by their traditions, their rules, and their predictability, humans thrived on breaking patterns, defying expectations, and challenging every assumption made about them. It was this ability to remain flexible, to fight not by the rules of the universe but by their own, that made them impossible to defeat. No assassin, no matter how skilled, could outthink humanity's ability to change the game. No army, no matter how powerful, could outlast human determination. No technology, no matter how advanced, could predict the unpredictable nature of the human spirit. This, ultimately, was why only humans were safe from alien assassins. The galaxy's most dangerous predators had learned this lesson time and again. The true weapon of humanity wasn't the strongest weapon or the cleverest technology, it was the human will to survive, adapt, and challenge the impossible. In a galaxy full of advanced races, powerful empires, and deadly assassins, humans were the wild card, and that was the one thing that no one could ever truly defeat. The 13th encounter, the Sarathi and the power of unity. The Sarathi were a terrifying species known for their hive-mind collective intelligence. They were a species of insectoid beings, each individual part of a vast network of interconnected minds. The Sarathi had perfected the art of collaboration, making them capable of performing feats no other species could. They could combine their abilities, seamlessly acting as one, thinking as one, and achieving unimaginable precision and efficiency. Their hive mind allowed them to accomplish goals faster than any other species, making them one of the most formidable foes in the galaxy. When the Sarathi discovered a human colony on the distant planet of Valtor, they immediately deemed it a prime target. The colony was built by a group of human settlers and scientists researching new energy sources. The Sarathi saw an opportunity to assimilate the human colony into their collective and learn what the humans had uncovered, believing it would increase their power exponentially. What the Sarathi didn't account for was the single greatest strength of humanity: unity in diversity. The human colonists, though vastly outnumbered and outgunned by the Sarathi's precision and coordination, had a secret weapon. Each individual human was capable of acting independently. They didn't rely on a hive mind. Instead, they had the power to think for themselves, to make decisions based on their own experiences, beliefs, and instincts. The Sarathi first tried to infiltrate the human colony, assuming that their individual minds would be easy to manipulate. They sent in scouts, infiltrators who could merge with the thoughts of individual humans. But what the Sarathi hadn't realized was that the humans' individual thoughts were unpredictable, scattered, and not easily controlled. The more the Sarathi tried to connect, the more chaotic the responses became. The minds of the humans weren't designed to be controlled as one, they were designed to think and act as individuals. What made humans so difficult to subdue was that, when faced with danger, they didn't operate like the Sarathi. Instead of working in perfect unison, humans adapted to chaos and found ways to create cohesion within it. When faced with the Sarathi, each person brought their own strengths to the table, contributing in ways the hive mind species could never predict. Each individual's thoughts, actions, and will were unpredictable, and it was this very unpredictability that thwarted the Sarathi's plan. The Sarathi attempted to destroy the colony using their perfect coordination, but they could not predict how each human would react. The humans formed loose alliances, each acting according to their personal skills and strategies. Some used tactics that created diversions, others sabotaged the Sarathi's technology, while some focused on defending key locations with surprising creativity. The unity of the humans wasn't a collective mind, it was a shared sense of purpose, with each individual contributing their unique talents and strengths. Eventually, the Sarathi found themselves overwhelmed by the sheer unpredictability of human resistance. The hive mind, which had always been their greatest strength, became their greatest weakness. In trying to anticipate and control the humans, the Sarathi overextended themselves, leaving cracks in their strategy that the humans were quick to exploit. The human colonists, through cooperation and diverse ingenuity, managed to force the Sarathi to retreat. The very thing that made them vulnerable was their inability to adapt to the unpredictability and individuality of the human spirit. The 14th encounter, the Venerith and the power of rebellion. The Venerith were an ancient, powerful race of telepaths who had long dominated the galaxy, their minds interconnected across thousands of worlds. The Venerith governed through thought alone, with their telepathic abilities allowing them to control entire populations, subtly influencing their thoughts and desires. Their empire was built on a foundation of absolute control, where nothing happened without the consensus of the collective mind. However, the Venerith had never encountered the phenomenon of human rebellion, an essential part of human nature that they had underestimated. The Venerith sought to expand their empire by subjugating a human world located on the fringes of their domain. The colony, though primitive compared to the Venerith's advanced civilization, was strategic, and the Venerith believed they could easily assimilate the population into their collective. Their telepathic abilities would allow them to erase resistance and unify the minds of the humans with ease. But when the Venerith attempted to extend their influence, they found themselves met with an unexpected resistance, a group of rebels, led by a young human woman named Juno Blackwood. Juno was not a soldier or a strategist, but she had something far more dangerous in the eyes of the Venerith, an unyielding defiance of authority. The Venerith had long believed that their telepathic abilities allowed them to control minds effortlessly. But Juno's mind was unlike anything they had ever encountered. The more they tried to break her will, the stronger her resolve became. She was filled with a powerful, instinctive resistance to being controlled, an emotion that the Venereth could not comprehend. Juno's resistance became a beacon to others who had been unknowingly manipulated by the Venereth. The more people came together, the more the Venereth found their influence slipping away. The human rebellion didn't use telepathy to fight back, nor did they rely on superior technology or brute force. They fought with the rebellious, untamable spirit that was a hallmark of humanity. The Venereth attempted to invade the minds of the rebels, but the more they tried, the more their efforts were countered by the raw, indomitable force of human will. Each attempt to force unity among the humans only led to greater fragmentation within the Venereth collective. They could not comprehend how a species so uncoordinated could resist them with such force. In the end, the Venereth were forced to withdraw, unable to assimilate humanity into their telepathic collective. The rebellion had triumphed, not because they outmatched the Venereth in any material way, but because they had tapped into the one thing the Venereth could never control, the power of individual rebellion. The 15th encounter, the Vicorians and the power of hope. The Vicorians were a technologically advanced species of cyborgs who had long ago merged their biological forms with mechanical enhancements. Their bodies were near indestructible, their minds enhanced to superhuman levels. They saw themselves as the pinnacle of evolution and believed that all other species were inferior. The Vicorians had a strict doctrine: only through the perfection of the machine could true strength be achieved. When the Vicorians decided to conquer a human world, they believed it would be another routine operation. They had faced countless species, and none had ever been able to stop them. The humans, in their eyes, were primitive, nothing more than fragile, fleshy beings that could easily be wiped out. But they did not account for one thing: humanity's capacity for hope. The Vicorians launched their attack, and the human colony they targeted initially seemed doomed. But as the invaders advanced, they encountered something they didn't expect: an unshakable belief in a better future that united the humans. Even in the face of overwhelming odds, the humans did not fall into despair. They banded together in ways the Vicorians had never seen before. The humans didn't simply resist, they fought for the future they believed in. They were driven by a profound hope that there was more to life than just survival, more to their existence than mere existence. Few,